fly, boss walk, jam, nitty gritty. You're listening to the boy from the big bad city. This is Jam Hot. This is Jam Hot.
Welcome to Who's Hot with your host, Wil Chung.
Hello and thank you for downloading the latest UKOCR Who's Hot podcast. My name is Wil Chung, I am the host, and I am here, as always, with my two co-hosts at Elite Races. First of all, I got Becky Neal. Becky, hello, how are you doing?
Hello, very good, thank you. Wil, how are you?
Yes, very good, thank you. And of course, we got Chris Shipley, also the co-host of Accountability Corner. Hey Chris, how are you doing?
Yeah, not so bad, Will. Rolled my ankle today, so I've got the injury blues, unfortunately, but c'est la vie. Yeah.
C'est la vie. At
Mad
least
that you can do that in a week with Pippingford, but not at Pippingford.
I know, it's really annoying.
The centre of the universe for ankle rolls.
It is.
Yeah.
And well, to be honest with you, around where I live, it's a bit like Pippingford anyway. So I rolled it going downhill, but it's not the rolling that's the problem. It's the fact that I know that I'm going to be on an indoor bike for the next couple of weeks or something, which is not fun. But never mind.
No one needs that, do they? And we have our special guest. We've got Sam Winkworth, a race director of Dirty Rotten Scramble, and of course, race director of the British Championship. Sam, welcome. Hello.
Hey, Will, how's it going?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. So we're here. We are going to review the British OCR Championships 2023. Happened last week, fortunately, before Chris rolled his ankle. Sunday, 8th of October, Pippingford, the home of OCR. 30 obstacles over 12k, and as we've previously mentioned, Sam was our race director. We're going to go straight into talking about the men's race with Chris. Chris, before we get on, the thing that I just noticed when I looked at those results and that top 10, Jesus Christ, that was so close, wasn't it? You know, between first and 10th, there was what, 4 minutes?
Yeah, everyone in that top 10 was really pushing really hard. They all had the speed to cope with Pippingford. They all had the obstacle proficiency to handle the obstacles that Spartan put on, and it was such a close race. I think it came down to the true sort of fell racers who sort of positioned better than anyone else. And no, I think the race was super close. It was really good.
So I'll go through the top 10 and then we'll have a bit more chat about them. So Dan Titcombe, first place, 1 hour, 4 minutes, 6 seconds. Second place, Jason Brunnock, 1 hour, 4 minutes, 58 seconds. Third place is Russell Walsh. Fourth place, Fergal Keeney. Fifth place, Luke De Benedictus. Sixth place, Morgan Maxwell. Seventh place, James Burtons. Eighth place, Stasa Scanella. Ninth place, Scott Barker. And 10th place, Darren Martin. I mean, again, a who's who of the elites, those going through the British, through the UK OCR series. And I think very much a fitting top 10 for the British Championships, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every single one of that top 10 was fighting and really hungry to make a really good position in that race. You know, they were chomping at each other's heels the whole way through.
Right. Becky, any thoughts on the males? And did you manage to catch any of their races or the finish?
I was still running, so I didn't get to see any of this battle. But from looking at, I watched the start obviously, and the start was huge, and like every person that you looked at has probably podiumed in a race before, or this year even, and it is hard to predict. I think this race, like, it was a really balanced course in most ways, and so it was really like exciting to see who came out on top. I think with less than 5 minutes between the top 10, and at times only like a handful of seconds between the different positions, it really did come down to the line. I think that's always what we want in obstacle course racing, for everything to factor in. And people might have been a whole 4 places higher if one thing didn't happen, and but if something else had happened to that person, it'd be the other way around. And so when we do these races, it all just comes down to like who does what on the day, as well as like the months of preparation. So it does come down to who can execute it the best, which is really exciting, I think, to watch, even if you're out in the fields yourself running around. I was like actually thinking about the men's race when I was going towards the end. I was thinking, because I was hoping I might get some people coming cheer for me, but I think everyone was so engrossed in like the drama of their own races that it was still a bit lonely towards the end. But I had some ladies hunting me down, so it wasn't that lonely. So yeah, it's exciting to see like they're such a close, and I don't know what's the word, high caliber top 10.
Yeah, definitely.
I think exactly right, because we in our kind of previous show was trying to guess, okay, who's going to come first. I think you could pick any of those, pretty much any of those top 10, and actually there's a few names probably outside that top 10 that could have been anyway. You could just pick up all those numbers, throw them in the air, and they would land again, and you go, actually that looks like a fair,
Okay.
kind of top 10, and you do it again and again.
Yeah.
Chris, I know I'm sure you've spoken to some of the competitors and kind of how they did. Where do you think some people may have won and lost, or how people may have been able to just to climb a couple of places from that race? Because again, it's so close, so close.
Well, I don't think, there was a lot of mistakes that could have been made, and any of the mistakes that anyone made would have been on just simple obstacle failures, like just things like slipping off, which was a bit of a shame because there was nothing to really change that aspect of the race, because the mistakes that are made are done on like the really sort of, oh, it's just a slip here, it's because the obstacles are a little bit wet, rather than an actual general, oh, I've got to change my tactics of racing. But people made up their places just because of like how fast they were at running and how good they are over those obstacles in themselves. And even the people who did make mistakes, I know Dassos, he slipped off the balance wall, and he put in such a surge to get back into the top 10 and the top. Where did he come? Sixth? No, eighth. Sorry. So he put in a huge surge to come eighth, and I do think he didn't come off that balance beam, he would have had a lot higher position. So people had to really push to fight those places.
Yeah, it's tough when a mistake like that happens, because you don't feel like it's a true justification of your obstacle abilities. Like, everybody in the race can do the balance beam, but then it does also, you have to do it there and then and deal with whatever's happening in the race and who else is around you. So sometimes it seems like unfair, but other times it's like just part of OCR, isn't it? I don't think we're ever going to have races which are totally like sterilized in a way that you're running on your own and there's not other factors that are kind of affecting the race.
But do you think actually that shows just the caliber and the closeness of all the elites, that such a simple little step actually pushes you down? And I think it's great in a way, and I do feel sorry for that, but I think it's great in a way that everything is so tight that smallest little mistake is pushing you down. That makes sure that actually the competition is really good at that high level.
Yeah, and like other people like James is particularly good at capitalizing on those scenarios, and that's part of racing as well, like not just sitting back and letting you fall back into your position, be like, oh, carry on, you're normally ahead of me, carry on. Like, you got to also race. If you get that opportunity, you got to grab it and go for it. And
there's no letting off the gas in those sort of races. You really got to stay on top of it just to stay in position, and then also to keep fighting for a position that you may have lost or trying to get back. So
it's not over till it's over.
That's right.
You could make a mistake.
Yeah, 12K is short enough but long enough to be able to kind of surge back. How did your race go, Chris?
Not very well. I mean, I was a bit ill the week before, so I think I don't know if anyone's seen Matt Roberts' video of him on the Toros reg. You actually get me in the background stacking it. So after that, I knew my legs wasn't really working, and like I said, I had a bit of illness the week before, and I don't think I was fully recovered. So just sort of plodded round and got around the course and just tried to take a bit of a sort of a training run as opposed to going full gas, so I could get back into training this week. So. But no, it was a good race.
I think it's because you was trying to chase Mark Dixon the week before, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It was, and I still didn't keep up with that.
And chasing with the camera in that race.
Yeah, he's such a pain in the ass.
Sam, from your point of view, was you able to watch the men's race, and any particular thoughts on that top 10?
Yeah, I was around about on the course, because I was directing them into the boss section, which is like the wooded section that we had as an extra loop in addition to the Spartan course. And yeah, I saw them all coming through. Can you hear me, all right, guys? By the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. And yeah, it was great to watch. I mean, Daniel at the front, he's very. I mean, he was impressive. He was a good minute or two in front of the next batch, and Mark was like behind him, trying to keep up with him. But Mark with the camera, yeah, and yeah, and then just watching the others come through. You know, they're going at such a fast pace, and you know, it's impressive to watch. You know, and let's be honest, the terrain at Pippingford, you know, really, and we talk about hard terrain and tough terrain, and we talk about mountain races and stuff like that. I mean, you got to look at Pippingford as, because there's so much elevation, and it's not so much the elevation, but it's also the like we said, the ankle breaking terrain that you got to be you got to be so careful with your foot positioning, and that takes it out of you as well. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough course. So you know, to sort of like go through speed on that route was good to see.
I'll go through. I'll just quickly go through the Elite Masters men. So in first place we had James Burton. In second place, Asa Scanella, and in third place, Ryan Ibbotson. Well done, guys. Let's talk about the women and our very own Becky Neal. So I'll go through the top 10. We have first place Fedi Decaria, 1 hour 18 minutes 4 seconds. Second place Ellen Wells, 1 hour 21 10 seconds. Snapping right at her heels was third place Karen Macquarie, 1 hour 21 minutes 22 seconds. Our very own Becky Neal in fourth place, 1 hour 23 15, and again snapping right at her heels, we've got fifth place Shyla Duhani, 1 hour 23 30 seconds. Then we have Josie Lloyd in sixth place, seventh place Rachel Decker, eighth place Lou Ferriman, ninth place Tamar Barkley, and 10th place Elizabeth Brimickham. Becky, your race, let's talk about it. How did it go?
My race, well, yeah, I mean, I think I pretty much did as much as I could. It was exciting. I had a good start. I often have a good start. Getting over under through the walls, it was Josie, Ellen, Fede, and me that were kind of first off that first obstacle, and then me, Ellen, and Fede kind of broke ahead over the hurdles, and then round the back, and then I kind of had a good balance beam. But then there was a little incline. I knew we had the boss obstacle coming up next, and Rachel overtook me with the others there, so I was fourth to the boss obstacle. But I guess why I do well at international races is because I like flowy obstacles and ones where you can get on, flow through, get off. And that one felt like that, even though I'd only seen it half an hour before on my warm up, going for a jog around there. So I just sort of thought, they're all stood there, and I'm just gonna stand up and go, because it's monkey bars at the start. I'd already decided from looking around before pre-rigging which arm I wanted to put on what, and so I just stood up and jumped straight on, got into first, and then I realized at that moment that it was really wet. I was like, oh, these monkey bars are slippery. I think Chris noticed that with his feet before he started the obstacle.
My feet didn't even make it that far. Yeah.
So I was suddenly concentrating a lot, literally staring at my hands. But those Torres grips are so like grippy, a really nice material. Skipped that big one, and then hit the bell. It was quite smooth, quite good obstacle, I thought, quite nice. And then ran ahead, and then Ellen and Fede caught me up on the bucket carry. No surprises there. And then I lost them up the hill, and by the time I got to near the top of the first hill, Karen had caught me up. And then we're kind of running together for quite a long time, toing and froing, and then she'd overtake me up towards the top of the hill. And then we did the Olympus together, and the Stairway to Sparta and Ape Hanger, literally side by side. She's good at getting on and off obstacles too. And then because I've got obviously everybody has a history of ankle injuries, but I've got 7 times that it's been in plaster or badly sprained, and it's constantly swollen. So I'm just always really cautious when I'm running. I was really trying not to be in this race because I knew that was going to be a big factor. So I was pleased with how I was running, down the hills, trying to let go. been trying to practice that on the trails recently because I know it's what slows me down as well as the uphill. But then going through like that undergrowth, that bit at the back, I don't know if that was because of you, Sam, or Spartan, but the bit where we had to do a bit of bushwhacking before we kind of got back on top for armor. That's where I lost Karen, and then she pulled ahead on the rest of the kind of that gnarly terrain out the back near the cargo net crawl. And then the bit that you must have added, Sam, through the trees, the zigzaggy bit towards the very final bit coming back towards the water. I was struggling to keep up the pace through there, like I was basically walking. I think my quads were just dead, especially from doing the Spartan sprint, like the double sandbag carry up the hill had killed my quads, even though it was only 1 kilometer. So I could really feel at that point, and I just knew that there was all these carries left, and all the people behind me were all better at that than me. So I was just trying to hold on for as long as I could, but my breathing had got a bit out of control by that point, as everyone probably heard. And so I was just trying to hang on. But yeah, I enjoyed the rig at the end. Lovely and smooth. Didn't use the ropes and over the line in 4th. So yeah, Rachel had overtaken me. So Karen pulled away, and then I was running, trying to catch her up, but she was good at the carries. And then I got eaten up by Rachel on the chain carry up the hill. But managed to keep off Shy, who was kind of closing down on the carries as well. And then Rachel ended up doing a penalty on the last rig, and so I got that position back that I had most of the race. Yeah, but then it was close. Then right behind me was Shy came in and Josie, and then Rachel finished her penalty, I think. And then it was Lou, Tamar, and Ellie.
Just looking at that map, it doesn't have that last part. It really doesn't help you, does it? So sandbag carry, plate drag, atlas carry, chain carry. That's not really playing to your strengths towards the end, is it?
Yeah, and well, actually, like, I mean, I knew that going in that this hosted by Spartan. I know I just say this and I could just work more at it, but I don't want to do that all the time. But earlier in the year, I came 8th at Spartan in the one which was the first one in the series, and I came 6th at the sprint one. So actually, this is kind of my best result at a Spartan race, and it was on terrain that was kind of challenging for me. So I was pretty pleased with it. I've tried to push the whole way, but the fact that there was more obstacles than normal in the Spartan race, I think, did help me, and the penalties being quite mean. I think a couple of people had to do a couple of those, so it was it did feel like an obstacle course race where the obstacles in the women's race definitely did factor in, but ultimately the best obstacle course racers won, those who could run, carry, and do obstacles. So I think that was decent.
Yeah, and I think that top 10, I think it's pretty fair. Again, there'll be some times when you'd throw those up in the air and it would land in a different way, and you go, actually, that's pretty good. But I think that's pretty much where we all sort of expecting. Chris, did you manage to catch any and speak to any of the female racers about how they did and how they thought their results were?
So yeah, I caught up with Tamar and Lou after the race, and obviously they've been battling it out for the Masters category, and they had a really, really good race. Obviously Tamar had the beast the day before, so she was running on tired legs, and yeah, they both had a really good battle. The overall position, I can't remember who it was. Was it either Becky was it either Tamar or Lou?
Lou won the Elite Masters women's.
But who won race day?
On the race, Lou beat Tamar.
Lou beat Tamar. So, but yeah, Lou is a super proficient runner as well, and they were really, really close. So
just to confirm the Elite Masters women results: Lou Fairman in first place, Tamar Buckley second place, and Sandy Powell in third place. Becky, there's a few bits of feedback I want to talk about in terms of penalties, but what did you think about bans versus penalties? And it sounded like for you in the women's race, it was about right.
Yeah, I think it flowed, and I think it would have been more confusing for a lot of people if we'd all been doing penalties at the end, especially if some people had multiple penalties. I think sometimes that can be disheartening when you're that close to the end and you're going around in circles doing a horrible penalty in front of everybody. So actually, I think you might have a bit more motivation if you like Das experienced. He had to go through the trees and do that penalty, whatever it was, and then had that kind of motivation to claw your way back obviously sometimes it goes the opposite direction. You sort of switch off and it's hard to kind of race. But I think when there's a field that's quite deep, you're still going to find people to run against or run with, even if you do end up taking a penalty. So I think having penalties out the obstacles worked really well, rather than watching a load of elite athletes do something because they didn't complete something at the end. It was enough to just see that for the rig. I think it was, no one was really interested in watching that penalty, and it didn't make for an exciting finish if two people were battling it out on penalties. So I think the way it worked was good, and it meant that the people following the race, with the cameras and stuff, could follow the leaders as the leaders that would actually win the race as well.
Yeah, the penalties being at the obstacles and the marshalling that went on with the penalties was really good. Yeah, there was no sort of discrepancy with the marshalling and people getting told what to do and the wrong actions that have had like miscommunication with other obstacles in obstacle races. So, but then again, some of that was because of how simple the obstacles were, and that is something that should be done with other obstacle races as well. So, but definitely the marshalling was good.
Definitely something that we're working towards, having like simple rules that are clear, platform to bell or platform, and generic never touch the straps or whatever kind of style thing, just use the obstacle as it's intended to be used, basically. But sometimes it's become more than that. So I'm really I don't think we should take it for granted. I think it's because of a lot of hard work from a lot of different people, technical officials on the day, people preparing the rule book, people thinking about the scenarios, making decisions and having conversations, and then communicating that to everyone and doing it in the correct way. I think there's probably some feedback about the Parawave that we can talk about in a bit as well.
Yeah. So let me, Sam, before we come over to you as race director for the race, I just want to pick out a selection of feedback that we've had from members of the British Obstacle Sports. As always, we try and just ask about comments about all the races we've had for the UKOCR series, just to pick up the races feedback. So just got a selection here. Wendy Brothers, the penalty system was tough enough to make it hard to achieve top places with an obstacle failure, but not impossible. It also ensured athletes didn't fail. Dil Sean, the choice to have penalties rather than bands or burpees was good. It meant that the penalty took longer than the obstacle, which it needs to do, but it also meant that everybody was physically able to complete the penalty, of preventing disqualification and keeping everybody in the competition. Laura Haywood, just the right variety and toughness of obstacles and a fantastic location. Penalty loops seemed appropriate in most cases. I think Sam Winkworth and British Obstacle Sports did a great job, especially with the weather. I think we got very lucky with the weather. Tamar, really exciting race. Lots of places being won-lost throughout the race rather than just settling in and seeing it out to the finish. James Pickman, it was a great course, well organised. I love the addition of the Torres rig, and the last couple of fields were brilliantly brutal. Encarni, the course was great. I think they used the best of Spartan obstacles with a couple of nice additions. Nice balance of obstacles and terrain. Philip Erie, you can't go far wrong with Pippingford Park, Spartan's resources and advice from Sam Winkworth. And so it proved. It was a great race and a great course, and I really liked the addition of the Torres rig. And I'm going to finish off before Becky, passing back to you, Sam, with the quote from Lou Ferriman, the best start line ever, #strong women. Sam, let's talk about the route.
Yeah, well, I think one thing you picked up on there was the penalty loops. So the first thing, obviously, is so important is to make sure the penalty loops are longer than the actual obstacle, and that's huge, because you can spend all week marking out penalty loops, and if they're shorter than the actual obstacle, which has happened in the past, let's be honest. And obviously Spartan will this time around have obviously listened to that, and they made the penalty loops a lot longer this time around. There was a couple that we had to change at the last minute. I think the Torres rig, that was a little bit short, so we double checked that. James checked it, myself, I checked it. I think Mike, three of us checked it, and it was all coming up a little bit short, so we added an extra loop onto that. And there was a couple of other areas that we had to just tweak before race morning. But yeah, that was the main thing. And just picking up on what Becky was saying there about, I like the penalty loops because it's free flowing, and I think that's the right direction. I think we all agree on that. I know you've got the other forms. I don't quite the other option of the 3 bands. So it's just very confusing. Let's be honest. If you're trying to explain that to a beginner, it's just quite not a beginner as in a total beginner, but it's just a confusing procedure just from my perspective. And the kind of like, you know, the OCR World Champs where, you know, like reattempts, multiple attempts, I quite like that, but that's a different discussion for another time. In terms of the course, you know, I can't really take much credit for that because Kerry and his team designed it all. I was just overseeing it. We obviously had the additional loop up at the top, which was that obstacle for us, which was just a tip. And that I think that worked really well in the route. And then obviously the wild running in the woods. I would maybe quite like to have had a bit more in there, like a few more, just something a bit more wild.
Yeah, we all know. Look, we all know sort of what sort of races you like to have, and you do like a technical run. Well, you know, with Dirty Rotten Scramble, that's a real intense run. And I think if you had a bit more choice, you would have put a bit more natural, tough obstacles in that. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like we were just discussing earlier, Will, weren't we, about Pippingford being an amazing area. It's like a one massive valley, basically, where you've got the water right at the bottom. And it would have been great to have like had you guys zigzag in and out of that a bit more, just to toughen you up a little bit, make it a bit more rugged.
I definitely went in that water. Under that bridge, I jumped in, and I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure everybody hit their shin on that log, and I managed to hit it in exactly the same spot that I got the rope burn on from Friday in Madrid. So I'm still in pain from that right now. But yeah, we did.
Oh, I know the bit you mean, the bit under the bridge.
Yeah, like the one watery bit, which was I got pretty wet actually.
Yeah. Just my in terms of the actual route. Yeah, I mean, they're so professional, Spartan. You know, let's be honest, they're a great outfit, and it's great to have those guys hosting it. And Kerry is great at what he does, and his team are just, you know, looking at them do it. It is great to see it all unfold. If we're looking at building on the champs possibly in the future, it'd be nice to have a little bit more say in possibly in our sections, our little loops, which is you know, like where we've got a little bit more say in what we can do. If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, as coming from a racer who did the race, it would have been nice to have it feel more like an obstacle race as opposed to feeling like a Spartan race. Yeah.
I think that will come with time. You know, at the moment we can't do it on our own.
No, that's right. I mean, I'm definitely I'm not going to be the negative Nelly because a lot of the really good aspects of the course and the marshalling and the way it was run and all that would definitely not have been able to be made without Spartan. But yeah, it would have been nice to have it just a little bit more like an obstacle race than a Spartan race. That is just my opinion.
The thing is, when you attach yourself to Spartan, you're in their realm.
I mean, we gained from it in the sense that, you know, like we had full age group podiums basically. Like there's only a couple of podiums with people missing, and that was partly because we had the penalty system where you didn't have 3 bands, so there might be people on those podiums potentially who would have not completed it if we'd used the 3 band system, but instead they completed the race fair and square, and they got recognized for it. And I think that's really important and encouraging, and without the Spartan resources to have penalties at for every obstacle that it's needed at, we wouldn't be able to do that. So I think like there are kind of indirect consequences, which mean that it all kind of worked really well together, and just everyone helping each other out, organizing it and recognizing things. It's worked for where we are at right now.
I think I agree. I think a couple of just being around the event village at the end, just chatting to some of the age groupers, the feeling was it was an amazing event as usual. If we're looking to raise the standards even more, they were saying, oh, maybe just 1 or 2 rigs away from being outstanding, and aligning ourselves with what's going on in Europe, and possibly a swim, but that's just me. That's my preference.
I would have loved to swim as well.
Scotty Barker wanted to swim.
I would have loved to swim.
Karen would have definitely beaten me by more than.
It's moving through space. A swim. It's definitely a thing to have in there.
Yeah,
it's an obstacle.
That's it. And I think yeah, we were like, obviously myself and Kerry were chatting about it, and we were agreeing about like obviously the Beast had a swim the day before, and then we had the UK champs the next day. Would have been, but again, we know the drill, don't we? It all comes down to budget and finances, etc. And I think you have to take that into consideration as well.
Yeah.
They did have a swim team there on Saturday. Chose not to on Sunday. That's Spartan's call though, and I respect that, and I respect Kerry for that decision. You can see the kind of you see where we're at with it all, don't you?
Yeah. And like if you zoom out a little bit more and think like 2 years ago, could you imagine a world where Tough Mudder and Spartan were joined?
Definitely
No,
not.
now they're like the same company. And then think about, could you imagine Spartan letting any other brand inside their race, like
No.
and then put a European thing in there, and then let somebody else organize it, have their own awards, add in a whole nother category, Elite Masters. Like, it's, if you think about those things, like they are actually mad in a sense, and there's nowhere else in the world that's doing that.
Yeah, it really shows the way that
The
British obstacle
collaboration.
sports have put into races. Yeah, they've got in fact, British obstacle sports across the world seems to have a really good relationship with all the sort of different brands, the FISO, the OCRWC, and European Championships and Spartan as well. So yeah, British obstacle sports is really sort of like a joining hand to all of these things, and it shows with that race.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think we should also give thanks to Spartan, to Matt Brook and to Giles, because they have put their weight behind it to support British obstacle sports in lots of different ways. And I think Becky's absolutely right. If we looked at this 2 years ago, or look at the old British Sports Federation that we had, and what happened with their British Championships, we're the British obstacle sports and Spartan are we're having this, and it's really great inaugural championships, but we can see how we want to move forward. We're talking about the future, and wouldn't it be great if we can do this, that, and the other, and we are going to get there, aren't we? The great thing is we're going to get there. We've already got the date for 2024, which we'll come to, and I'm sure we just carry on, and as the sport grows, as Boss grows, and as the partnership grows with whether it's Spartan or whoever else that may come to support us, it's all great. It's all good. And we said something, didn't we, right before we started even recording, that it's the first one, but how good was it as a first race for us to get this back off the ground?
Yeah, competition was there. The people turned up. It was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, the roads are open for this. The roads are open. And there's no roadblocks, so we can only keep going forward.
It worked. We've got momentum. Like next week, it's the British Junior Championships. Then there's the National 3K Championships, and that's going to get more new people in, like both of those events. And then, like you say, we've got the next National Championships scheduled. And we've got the selection policies already out for next year. The UKOCR series is being finalised. Like, it's all going and growing, and so exciting. So well done to everybody who raced. I think everyone, I know we haven't talked about everyone's individual battles, and we haven't been through all the age group results, but there's been so many big accomplishments and battles between people, as well as overcoming new obstacles, and then pushing yourself and training for a big event and having a goal and actually meeting that goal, or putting yourself out there. So I think there's lots of wins for everybody.
Absolutely. I'm just going to go through the Adaptive Athletes Wave. I believe this was the first ever competitive OCR wave for adaptive athletes. So absolutely fantastic. British champs. First place, Jamie Gain. Second place, Jan Tunneman. I believe it was Jan's first ever OCR. So obviously some great things going to come from him in the future. Dylan Darby in third place and Max Haddock in fourth place. Congratulations to all of you guys. Just going to go through final female standings of the UK OCR series. Now, I'm not going to gloss over these per se, but we are going to have our own recap show of the whole series. So we will talk about those in much more detail. But I think it's worth us just going through and congratulating everyone through the series. So we've got the ladies up first. So First place, Federico Di Caria, Nuclear Phoenix, 4 races, 1,930 points. Second place, our very own Becky Neal, also of Nuclear Phoenix, 4 races, 1,785 points. Well done, Becky. Third place, Josie Lloyd, again snapping it here was Primal Fitness, 4 races, 1,780 points. Karen Macquarie, 4th place. Lou Ferriman in 5th place. Tamar Barkley in 6th place. Elizabeth Brimacombe in 7th place. 8th place is Charlotte Duhaney, 9th place Cheryl Beach, and 10th place Libby Joyce, who was at the World Obstacles, wasn't she? So she wasn't able to make it over at British Champs.
Got herself a little podium, didn't she?
She did. For the men's, we've got Dan Titcombe, Team Viper OCR, four races, 2,000 points, so maximum points. So special kudos, I guess, to Dan. Their second place, Morgan Maxwell, Rumble Racing, 1,865 points. And third place, Jason Brunnock, Nuclear Phoenix, 1,770 points. Fourth place, Fergal Keeney. Fifth place, Darren Martin. Sixth place, James Burton. Seventh place, Dasa Scanella. Eighth place, our very own Chris Shipley. Ninth place, Finley Greenleaf. And 10th place, Ramunas Wickis. And female masters standings. First place, Lou Ferriman. Second place, Tamar Barkley. Third place, Nkani Casillas. Fourth place, Ruth Bassey. Fifth place, Wendy Brothers. Sixth place, Susan Jarman. Seventh place, Laura Hayward. Eighth place, Sarah Dutton. Ninth place, Georgina Bishop. And 10th place, Erica Poole. And the male masters standings. First place, James Burton. Second place, Dasa Scanella. Third place, Ramunas Wickis. Fourth, John Redman. Fifth, Edward Lambert. Sixth, Greg Stubbs. Seventh, Richard Jarvis. Eighth, Jamie Schofield. Ninth, John Paul. And 10th is Craig Simia. So congratulations to everyone there. I'm not sure. Oh, I've got the teams. I thought I might have missed that one. Final team standings. First, Nuclear Phoenix. Second, Rumble Racing. Third, Fit Body Farm. Fourth, OMRM. Fifth place, Primal Fitness. Sixth place, Nuclear Wild Forest. Seventh place, Team Grit. Eighth place, OPP Warriors. Ninth place, Team Nuts. And 10th place, PT Barn Races. So congratulations to all of those taking part in the UKOCR series. As I say, this is just to let you know who's won, but we will have our own post show at some point, probably towards Christmas, something a little bit special. We're just working on that. More details to come there. So congratulations to everyone. Becky, you kind of mentioned already the British Championships 2024. Do you have the dates?
July.
Nope. Okay, I've got the dates here. British Championships 2024, which is at the Beaver Estate, which is home to Spartan Midlands and to Tough Mudder Midlands, just 10 minutes down the road from me. Near Grantham, kind of big city of Nottingham is the closest. June the 29th, 2024. So,
and that's sort of helpful now that Euros has been put on hold, because they were quite close together. So Georgia is no longer the venue, so we don't know the date or place yet anymore.
Oh, I didn't realise the date had been changed.
Well, I guess the date will have to be confirmed with the venue.
Oh, yeah. There you go, everyone. Scoop.
Well, I'm just guessing that. I don't actually know that.
Not a scoop.
I guess they'll try and keep it on the same weekend, but
Scoop.
Yeah.
For those that may not
It's
know
ridiculous.
the Beaver Estate or Midlands Estate, it's really runnable. It's fast. It's nothing like Pippinford. So it's nowhere near quite as technical. It's fast, relatively flat. There's a few hills there, but it's going to be good. And you know, there's a lot of races there. And with Spartan doing their bit beforehand, Tough Mudder doing their bit behind afterwards, I'm sure there's going to be some nice bits of water pits for you guys.
Are you still going to be race director for that one, Sam?
I'll need to have a chat with James and a bit of a debrief. Yeah, if I get the invitation to, then I haven't scared anyone off. Then yeah, I'll be delighted.
Yeah, cool. That'd be really good.
When we do our review of the series podcast, well, we can reflect on whether the predictions that we discussed last time or the odds would come true, because I've reviewed those as well. So we'll save that for next time.
Yeah, we've got a bit of time to try and come back to that one. Also, I don't know whether I'm sure everyone that's listening also follows British Obstacle Sports on Instagram. If you haven't, it's at British Obstacle Sports. But there has been a sneak preview of the first race of the UKOCR Series 2024. It's Tartan Warrior up in Ayrshire, Scotland. That's 24th of March 2024. I'm sure tickets will be on sale quite soon. Great race there by Gavin Hogarth, and I remember some absolutely fantastic feedback from Gavin's first race earlier this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, Gavin
Reigning
really knows how
champion.
to put a race on.
So reigning champions of that are Karen and Morgan, just beat Russell.
But Russell did have a little bit of a dilemma on one of the obstacles up there.
Yes.
So the battles will commence
Drama.
next year.
I'll continue.
I am sure we will be talking about that sometime in February, March 2024. I can't wait. There's lots to talk about. Guys, anything else you want to talk about in terms of the British Championships before we get to a close?
Well, I want to congratulate all my competitors. I think especially Josie and Karen towards the end of the series there. They did a fantastic job, and it was really great to race with them all. I'm really glad that the Elite Masters category was included, and I hope that everyone enjoyed joining us on the start line, and everyone was comfortable and enjoyed the race, and I think that worked really well. I'm really glad that people got recognized in that way. So any feedback, you can come talk to me anytime.
Sam?
Yeah, I was gonna just a random question on the Toros rig. Do we know the completion rate of it? Because when I was watching the feed on the UKOCR Facebook page, I was watching. It was about 12 minutes. I think Claire Rosser or Alan did the live feed. I was just curious if we knew what the completion rate was, because there seems to be quite a lot of people failing it when I saw them.
We could work it out for the elite from watching the video. The woman starts at like 8 or 9 minutes in that video, and it's not 100%. But the first 4 through the obstacle for the women were top 4 in the end. So if you look at it like that, that obstacle did make a difference. There was much higher in the men. I think only a few people came off of it. Yeah,
maybe I was looking at the age categories.
Yeah.
Work
it out, put it on the internet. Yeah.
just curious, because we were discussing, myself, Kerry and James, on the day before, what attachments to put where. So I think we got the right balance. We don't want it to be. We want it to be challenging but doable, don't we?
Starting with the T-bars was good. Like, people progressed quite far before they came off it, if they did come off of it. Although the monkey bars were pretty wet.
Yeah, the hardest part in it was the monkey bars to start with, because you lost a bit of flow getting into the first T-bar. It kept you at a bit of a standstill rather than getting the momentum to flow through the obstacle. So
it
was all right.
Sweet,
loved it.
Cool. Okay, so guys, thank you very much for your time. You can follow Sam Winkworth on Instagram. It's Sam Winkworth1. Of course, my thanks as always to Becky. Neal, who you can follow Becky on Instagram at The Runner Being UK, and of course to Chris Shipley, Obstacle Race Dude, and also follow his other podcast. It's like his other child, isn't it? _ Accountability Corner. If you haven't already, and you must be, because you're listening to this podcast, you should be following UKOCR at UKOCR, and of course we've got at British Obstacle Sports. We haven't done for the year. We've already talked about the post review show of the UKOCR series at some point at Christmas, but there'll be more details about that. But we will be back, because we will be talking about the 3K National Series, which is going to be at Forders Gym in Birmingham. If you haven't already, you can go get your tickets. It's via the British Obstacle Sports page, and that is 12th of November. I'm going, Chris is going, Becky, you're going too. So hey, why don't you come and get a selfie with the host of Who's Hot? I'm going to do open. I'm going to probably try and follow you guys and film some of the elite stuff. I'll be playing around on the open, but we will be back to preview the 3K National Series, and then again, as I say, we will have a special wrap up series at Christmas. That is the rest. That is the best. And that is the end of us for now. That has been the review of the British OCR Championships. Again, my thanks to Sam Winkworth, who has been the race director for the championships. My thanks to Becky Neal and Chris Shipley. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Cheerio.
Congratulate our national champions, Fede and Dan.
Woo.
Woo. Woo.
No, I managed to speak to Tamar and Lou after the race, and they had really good races. Obviously, they were battling for the
Masters.
Thanks for trying to work.
Elite Masters.
I was going to say the old group, but that would be really horrible, wouldn't it?
Oh my God.
No,
Do we need to edit that bit out?
no, they're so much faster and proficient than any old people, but I think they hold it well. So yeah, if you can't. But yeah, I spoke to them afterwards, and they had a really good race. And obviously they're rivals between themselves, and they really like racing each other, and it gets the best out of each other for themselves. So yeah, they enjoyed the race. Obviously, had the.
Oh, you broke them, Chris. I mean, Tamar also had done the beast the day before, so she had some. It was hard work.
Have you frozen again, Chris?
Am I?
I didn't know that.
He froze for us too.
You.
Which one
you,
are you?
You're still doing
Yeah,
it.
2 seconds.
Cut this bit out. We'll start back with Chris when he's back. Gone like ghost. I disappeared.
It's gone for tech support. It's working now anyway.
I think we're back on. Okay.
For me, with all the tech problems.
That's good now. I don't know why. No, we did that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
perfect
put-
again.
I'm going to put my video on. How do you turn the video bit off? 'Cause apparently that helps, doesn't it?
Bottom, probably a second left.
There you go. Hopefully that's a bit better.
Okay. If you want to start from the Elite Masters women again,
Without
we'll
calling them
cut-
old.
No, I want to keep that bit in, or that's definitely going in as a blooper anyway. Start from the Elite Masters about Lou and Tamar fighting for their places, Chris, and we'll pick up from there.
Yeah.